Ladies and gentlemen, Manoj Bajpayee here in the house. I hope we have, I wish we had about a couple of hours with him at least, but unfortunately we don't, so we'll make the most of the time that we get from you. It is an absolute pleasure and honor to get to speak with you. Hopefully we'll dig into your craft and you as a person as well. I thought maybe a good starting point might be to start with something generic, the word dialogue. What does that mean to you? How has your understanding of that word changed over the years?
Okay, it all started with my obsession and passion for poetry recitation from my childhood. I used to represent my class in elocution contest, and that was the time. That was the time I realized that each and every word is actually, thought about, weighed, and then put into that sentence. It has its own rhythm, it has its own importance in that, not only in that sentence, but also in the whole poetry. Okay, that was the beginning of it. The perfecting, the understanding the rhythm of it, understanding the pitch of it, where it has to be pitched, and where it, and also the where it has to be emphasized. It can actually change the meaning completely. So every person who is reciting the same poem, going to mean something else, just because of the emphasis, just because of the rhythm that the person who is reciting it. And so very early in my life, I started understanding the meaning of dialogue, meaning of the sentence which is given to you to say, to sing, or to recite. Okay. When I got admission in Delhi University, that was the time I was completely blown away by the amount of work that I had to do to really perfect the art of delivering dialogues. A teacher of dramatics came and she heard me saying those dialogues, and she shouted at me and said that, everything that you're saying is wrong, your pronunciation is wrong, your pitching is wrong, your rhythm is wrong. And I was thinking that I'm coming from a poetry background, so everything is going to be, all fine. But it was not. Then the work on my dialogues and delivering and understanding of those dialogues, everything started changing, taking a new shape. When I started doing professional theatre, that was the time I realized that there is dialogue and there is speech, that there are branches in the dialogue itself. I was looking for somebody who could teach me the speech or the dialogue delivery. I could not get one teacher, Sudhir. There was not even one teacher who could be called an expert on dialogues and speech. And I started looking for that particular person. So I went to Shri Vallabh Vyas, who was a very fine actor from National School of Drama. I sat with him. He made me understand that the reading of any Sanskrit literature loudly will help you in your diction, in your pronunciation, in dialogues. So I started doing that very blindly. Then I went to somebody else. Then I went to somebody else. So the one word that you say, dialogue, encompasses so many other facets, so many other things. Then now came the speech. There was this friend of mine, who was very senior to me, though I like to call him a friend. We've been roommates also in Mumbai. And suddenly someone said that you stayed with Vineet and you could not work on your speech. You have not learned speech. You should go back to him. So I started going back to him and started understanding all the things that I have to keep in my mind when I'm given these lines to say, which is called speech. And that was the time, one line that he said, which always stayed with me, no matter how bad the script writer is, Manoj, there is always going to be connection of the second paragraph in the first paragraph itself. So try to understand how many topics, how many issues that the script writer is touching when you are saying the speech, and that way you will learn the speech very fast. But I had to really perfect it. I have to practice it. Now, all of this that I'm talking about has to do with this word called craft. Now, at this age, when you ask me dialogue, for me, the pause is the most difficult dialogue for any actor. The silence is to understand that silence and to give as much importance as possible in that given time is the best way to deliver a dialogue. When there is no dialogue, there are too many dialogues. It's just that you are not voicing it, you are not saying it, but they are happening inside your brain, they are happening inside you. And that is where, actor's job is far more important. What are the dialogues which is happening in your brain when you are just looking into oblivion or just looking at the other character? What are the dialogues that the character wants to say but he's not saying it? That you have to coin. No script writer will give it to you. And that is why I say when there is no dialogue, there are too many dialogues for an actor to write within himself.
Because even today, what is thought of as a great performance, if there's a certain clip that needs to be shared about on social media, it's usually a clip of a person reciting a long dialogue.
Right.
There is a tendency to think of a certain memorization of lines,
Right.
As the pinnacle of expression on some level, at least in mainstream cinema.
That's because, in that clip, you were trying to, attract the audience's attention. So dialogues are the best way, when it is said. When I was, so many performances of mine, my speeches have become very popular. So people like to put those, small clips as reels to get the attention of the viewer. It's easy way to do it. But when you put a Bhosle's shot, which has no dialogue, I would love to see that. I would love to see what all was happening in Bhosle's mind. And as an actor, how far I succeeded in conveying those dialogues that were unseen, unsaid.
So on some level, are you constantly engaged in a conversation with the director, maybe knocking off certain lines, maybe asking certain questions of the script? Hey, does this need to be said? Does this need to be said as long?
Right. I mean, when you are young, when you are thriving, you give so much importance and weightage to the dialogues that even if one dialogue is cut away, you actually fight for it. You think that this is the opportunity for me to really get the attention of the viewers towards myself. But as you age, as you mature, as you live your life, and as you go through so many performances, you feel that many of the dialogues which are written there are unnecessary, or some of them are repeating themselves. So that is where I personally feel, Sudhir, that actors, there are two phases of actors, every actor. One is before 40 and one is after 40. Before 40 is when you are trying to mature, living life, trying to understand the flow of life, your own conflicts, the confusion. It's only after 40 you start realizing what all you've done and what all you could do and what all could happen. And not everything was unpredictable. It's just that I was too young to understand it. There is limitation, and also you suddenly start realizing that there is a futility in wasting too much energy on everything. There are many ways you can achieve those things without wasting that much of energy. You know that just by raising this finger, I can say too many things. I don't need to get up and raise my finger. Just by sitting here and looking, I can convey the same meaning. So all of these things, come to you only after a few years of not only performing, but also a few years of living life.
People who've extensively followed your work know your dedication to it, know how you allow for yourself to be consumed by the characters that you play in a way that few actors generally do. And I was thinking about it and I wondered what toll that would take on you, the person. You know, on Manoj Bajpayee, the husband, the son, the citizen, the individual. When you allow yourself to be consumed by certain characters, maybe you take them home, maybe you're suffering a bit too much.
Suffering is the right word. Actually, I can't say that, I have come out of all the characters I have played till now. No. It's just that, those characters and the work I have done on them, they maybe still there. I never tried to, get them out of my system. It's just that I chose I just moved on to some other things, right? But the bruises of those characters, they must be there. I think that is why somewhere I feel that the actors who take that route to perform a character, they become quieter, they become far more moody, far more unpredictable to themselves. When I'm not talking to Sudhir, I would like to sit in a corner and observe people from there or be with myself rather than talking, right? So I think it's the clashing of too many characters, because brain is something has been storing everything. The person Manoj Bajpayee and his conflicts and his life and his confusions and his tragedies and his romance of life, everything. And there is another corner which has been storing all the characters that he's been playing, because he was, as you said it so rightly, I was playing it in a way that I completely thrown myself into the fire to achieve that. So I can't say that they have that approach didn't harm me here or didn't leave a bruise somewhere, didn't leave a mark somewhere. It has. I'm not aware of it, and I don't want to be aware of it.
Because we are now discussing about different kinds of cinema and what they're able to offer to actors, I want to ask you this. There is a certain narcissism associated with being an actor on some level, because you get to see yourself on screen, you get to, savor the pleasures of people watching you. But what I wanted to ask here is, how have you managed to remain insulated from the pleasures of stardom? Because you could so easily have chosen that path.
Oh yes, and thank you for mentioning that. I don't know, I just love strolling in the market and buying my own vegetable. I just love it. It gives me much more high than people taking my selfies. Selfies, I somehow feel that it is entering into my private space. It's being too close to me. Nowadays, even my wife is not that close to me. So, but it's on a serious note, I personally feel that if I'm going to be keeping my car window black, how I'm going to be close to the people? How I'm going to understand what they are going through? How I'm going to observe them, get those characters, get their mind into my performance? More I'm going to cut off from them, more downwards my journey will go. It's going away from, my kind of an actor can't afford to be away from the people, simple, okay? Because I have not been chasing stardom ever. So stardom is a very different thing altogether. Stardom has to do with the mystery, stardom has to do with the glamour. None of these things I was chasing ever. What I was chasing is the roles, because I always enjoyed playing roles where I could feel that that's not me, this is somebody else. When that happens in few shots or few scenes of my film, I say, okay, somewhere I succeeded in playing it well. Even if it is 2 shots, even if it is, say, five shots. When I watched Gali Guliyan, why I say that it was very difficult, it's one of my best performances, my most favorite performance, because many of the scenes I personally feel How could I do it? How could I not go mad doing that? So when you feel that as an actor, you feel that you've achieved something little bit. You can't do it if you are away from people. You can't do it if you are not getting out of your comfort zone and mingling with the crowd. I would like to travel in a metro. I would like to travel in a local train and just see those people every day celebrating life, even in that miserable condition. Because these are the people I'm going to portray on the screen. And if I'm not close to them, then there's a problem, because that's going to show in my performance too.
You're still fairly well known. You're still fairly well known.
Oh yes.
So do they allow you to have an authentic metro experience?
But you know what happens, that if you are not chasing stardom, if you are not leading a star's life, you are also not trying to be seen. What happens most of the time, that actors want to be seen. When they want to be seen, they are going to behave in a certain way. When people are, the crowd is invariably going to look at them. So I don't want to be seen. That's the last thing I'm looking for when I'm in public. Because I'm busy looking at the things, looking at the people moving, or someone is standing at the bus stop, or someone is sitting and selling something. I'm busy looking at them rather than looking at myself.
I like how it beautifully tied in with the subject of our conversation, which is mastering the unseen.
Right. Yes. And one thing I learned from many of the actors who were really greats, and nowadays some of them are contemporaries, few of them. Like, an actor has to be like a fly on the wall. He is in the room, but he is still not in the room. If you achieve that in real life, then things become quite easy. Then you can see things which is unseen. First, you have to be unseen. Just to see the things very clearly right in the room.
On a related note, because you mentioned Gully and how you think it's among your better performances, right. There's a moment there when your brother sort of enters the space, and it's striking how you avert eye contact with him. Right. You can barely get yourself to meet his eyes, and so these little touches that you bring to a character. How much of that is something that you do in the spur of the moment? How much of that is well thought out? And you know what? I do not want to meet his eyes.
I don't think that with that those kind of details you don't think when you are reading the scripts. But those are the things that you start thinking about when you get the script one day, or the scene one day in advance, when you're in your room, hotel room, and then when you're reading it once, twice, thrice. You are trying to understand what has happened before and what is going to happen after. And then that is the time suddenly it kind of starts, those little things starts occurring to you. Then you want to try it out on the set. Then you go there and you rehearse and try to find out how much is it feasible, how much is not feasible, looking at the position of the camera, or how much it is agreeable to the director. There are too many things are going on, and also you feel that there is a co-actor with you. Is he getting it, or he is not getting it? There is no point telling your co-actor to look at your performance and then respond. No, if he can't see it, then you have to find other nuances for the character in that situation. So yeah, there's a work that keeps going on and on and on, and then your director wants you to watch the film and be more miserable about it. Because I hate watching my own, because I always feel that this performance is something it is a never-ending process. Never ending. You ask me to watch my own film, I'll be hitting my head all the time, because why I could not think of those nuances, why I said my dialogue on that pitch, why my rhythm of this particular dialogue was, this, it could have been that way or this way, but you can't help yourself. Now it's done, okay? And actors mostly are left in miserable condition after watching their own performances. And I don't want to go through.
While we're discussing nuances in performance, right, in Devashish's Choram, the way you carry your baby about while you're running here, while you're escaping people, it almost feels like you're almost a kangaroo, right? Almost like a child in your pouch, and it feels like you're a singular creature. And I want you to touch upon this, and by extension, bringing a certain physicality to your performances, right? Often, the sort of physical transformation that's extensively discussed is losing weight or putting on weight or having a six-pack abs. These are the physical transformations that are often spoken about. But these little details often go unnoticed.
I mean, there is a difference between the body language or the physicality of my character when he is young. He's a rebel, okay? So his physicality is very different. But when he's on the run with the baby after his wife is shot dead, when he is in Mumbai working in a construction place, his body language is completely beaten up. And when he's running, he's not Amitabh Bachchan, right? He's running for his baby's life. He's running to find an answer for so many things. So the body language had to be different. Someone who's exhausted, someone who is already, somewhere he has already accepted defeat, but he has to run for the baby. He has to run and go back into the jungle for the baby, where he doesn't want to go get into, right? This is where he was running away from, but he has to get into the jungle all over again only for his own baby's life. So the exterior is something which should be very, very subtle, I personally feel. In Aligarh, I was playing Ramchand's series. Professor was gay, but there was no extreme, what do you call, gay physicality that people have been so used to, watching it on screen, that I was completely bored and annoyed with it. I decided, I was very stubborn, that I'm not going to give any very obvious, physical physicality that is going to suggest that he's gay. Not at all, because the people, the friends that I have had were gays. None of them look like those filmy, gay portrayal. So I had to do this. Just one simple thing that I have done, the way I'm sitting here, that's the way I was sitting in the whole film. Okay, whenever see the sitting. So that was the only small suggestive physicality I have given it to him. So likewise, with all the portrayal, all the performances, all the characters, little bit here and there, little bit suggestions of exterior that I try to incorporate in my performance.
And these crucial details play their part in avoiding certain stereotypes, in adding to the flavor of a film. Mr. Manoj, I would absolutely love to keep engaging with you for a longer time.
I'm loving talking to you.
Thank you so much. But maybe I just want to be greedy here and ask you a question or two, if I can manage it. Before opening it to the audiences.
Yes.
I want to, anybody who's been in love with a person, with a process, knows that it's constantly changing, right? It's never one thing for too long. You fell in love with acting from when you were very young.
Right.
How has that love transformed? And what's keeping you in love now?
Okay. What I remember from my childhood, I was in, I think, 5th standard. Thus, I think I can only remember that time because my parents were film buffs, and they used to travel to district town where we were in a boarding to meet us and to get us out of the boarding and take us to watch one film or two films. Okay, that's how I remember. I remember Mr. Bachchan's Zanjeer. That's that far I can remember. And not many scenes I remember till now. I haven't watched Zanjeer after that, only because I didn't want that memory to be corrupted. So it's just whatever was happening on the screen in that dark theater just fascinated me. It's a different world, and realized that a person can actually be so many things, so many people he can be. That fascinated me quite a lot. And then later on, my obsession with poetry recitation, because in that my hometown there was no culture of theatre. So the poetry recitation or elocution contest was the only way I could express myself on stage. Uh, uh, and then in that small town, only the mainstream film used to be released, right? So I had no idea about the kind of films Mr. Nasuddin Shah and Mr. Om Puri were doing outside. Okay, so when I started doing theatre in Delhi, it was also kind of a film appreciation, a performance appreciation course for me. That was a time I realized that there is a world beyond mainstream cinema, and which is far more artistic. It is like once you get used to listening to Bhimsen Joshi and Kumar Gandharva, you can't go back to listening to Hindi film songs, right? This is exactly what has happened to me. I fell in love with those performances. I fell in love with Shyam Benegal and Gobind Nihalani's world, and I just wanted to be part of that. Somewhere I feel that a performance should not only move people, entertain people, they should actually represent people and touch them, very deeply.
As a final thought, from a young theatre actor, almost resigned to a life of poverty, right? You've today become a legend, a hero for many young actors. What was a crucial quality that aided this growth, this transition? That probably could be a good note in which to end this conversation, I think.
I know, I don't know, it's not very obvious to me, but let me try to articulate it. I would say that I've never deviated from the focus of being an actor. Even now, when I'm sitting here in front of so many people who love my work, thank you very much. I'm still a true blue newcomer actor who's trying to crack the code of acting. I'm still, with every role I feel that I don't know anything. I still have to learn a lot. I'm just fascinated by this craft called acting. And more I get fascinated, more difficulty I face in being an actor. हमारे हिंदुस्तान में क्या है कि we always feel that the acting is the easiest thing. When we go to our neighbor's place, suddenly auntie ji says, इनको जरा कोई काम दे दो अपने फिल्म में, इनको भी कोई रोल दे दो, and then you feel how easy it is considered to be an actor. And believe me, this is from my own experience. Actor's journey is still on. Is the most difficult job in the world to play another person.
Long may this love story continue. Almost sadistically, I want to say that may you continue to suffer in the pursuit of acting so some of us can enjoy these performances.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Unfortunately, I am told that we may not have too much time for questions from the audience.